Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a thirsty Thursday. I've been promising this deck for a little while now, and I keep getting hung up. But if you're anything like me, you look at seasonal, you think it's fun for a few games, but then you get trapped in stuff like this series progression where you need to win 20 rounds of seasonal, and you're like, I gotta get it over with. I might as well do something that's fun while I'm at it. Well, I have the deck for you. I also know some of you Nilfgaard fans out there. I'm testing out some more stuff. You can see my enslaved deck and imprisonment deck here, but I'm not in love with it. I don't feel like it's good enough for you guys to play with, but the seasonal is spicy. It's got some salt in here, a little cayenne pepper, fresh cracked black pepper, pink peppercorns even if you want in here. But it's pretty fun. It's got some good tempo, and it's complex and weird enough that your opponent really won't be able to wreck you with it. So we're going to use Artorias here with Hunting Pack and with Imperial Brigades. We do have Slave Hunters and Ardfane Cavalry and Diviners, so you do have a chance of missing one of these two. So you want to kind of grab those sometimes. But Artorias is an Assimilate engine himself, so you are able to get some great value regardless. You can also play other people's Artoriases. Keep that in mind. Glynis is in here, just great value. Then we got Brothen's, Portal, Oniro. And basically the goal with this is to only draw like one or two really good cards and then put the rest back in your deck. And we've got some tutors with Menno and with Oniro to get out those specific cards that you do want and play them at just the right time. But usually really early on in the match, just to prevent your opponent from getting really great value from the cards that you have. Instead, you want to be using the cards that they have. So let's walk you through some gameplay. Seasonal is a little bit complex, but it is pretty fun. For those of you also who asked, I know I saw some comments on this, make sure you are making progress on your journey. Also, make sure that you are making progress on this series quest, getting those extended journeys, but also playing these 150 games. You do get a cool new Scarlet Katana for the extended journey, and you get Silvered Zariel for the games with Siri. So lots of stuff that you can get. Make sure you're getting it. If you haven't paid the $10 because you don't have it to spend, don't worry about it. But if you ever think about spending any money on this game, I highly recommend the journeys. The value is just incredible, especially when you compare to other season passes for other games. $10 for 3 months is pretty insane. Insane great value. And I really do. I mean, the avatars you get to see and use, and that their comments are the ones that are spoken. Don't make me laugh. It's always great. We are rocking Double Cross here. It allows us to squeeze more into our deck. But it's also just fun. Okay, now what I say, you want to put back the stuff that you want yourself. We do want Ardfane Cavalry back in our deck. That way we can go ahead and get that out with Oniro. So here's the play. We want Portal with each of these Ardfane Cavalry out. So we're going to go ahead here, use Portal with Oniro. Portal in both of these cavalry, and then we're actually going to boost one of them up just because we carry Amnesty in hand. So, but there are two Amnesties, so for example, our opponent stole this Ardfane Cavalry, we'd be able to steal it back. This deck is not Devotion, so we don't get the boost. So if they are rocking Devotion, that could be a little problematic for us, but it's not the end of the world. Another fun thing you can do if you really want to bring some spice and some fun, you can do some cool stuff like play your opponent's Imperial Brigade, or their Brothens, or their Menno, or their Artorias. Here I think we're going to go for Brothens. Brothens himself is an Assimilate engine, and I do like cluttering the opponent's side. I find that to be really helpful. But here you'll see it's also an Infiltrator. The Infiltrator can kill stuff off, that's great, but Duchess Informant gets us a card. She also counts as an Assimilate card. This Brothens is from my opponent's deck, so he counts as an Assimilate proc. Man, too much to say in one round. Seasonal is always really hard to explain. So, but for every card we play that's not in our deck, every single one we get those Assimilate boosts, which is why Portal works great for getting out some great value. Glynis is really good because she gets those 2 points every time you play a card that's not in your deck. And then that Artorias is going to be the other one we're wanting to target there, if not the Cantarella as well. Now, if we could damage our opponent, like by 3 or like an assassination, we could get rid of that Glynis. I'm not running any removal because I find it really annoying when the opponent plays it against me. So here, Imperial Brigade works great, but it also is kind of clunky. Diplomacy is a little bit better. You can kind of sometimes get stuff that's awesome. Slave Hunter is a perfect play. So I get a card that's not in my deck. He's also an Assimilate engine, and we are just running away with this game. So taking a pause here for a second, something to always keep in mind with this Assimilate, with this seasonal, is never, 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 never pass. The reason why is when you pass, the cards, the hands still go back and forth, which allows your opponent to just keep playing from both hands, getting ahead. So that can be really frustrating and annoying. It also allows for just like crazy point plays. Alright, I think we want to go for Cantarella here. The Menno gives us a grab onto our Royal Decree. We do have Bribery in hand, so here's hoping our opponent doesn't play that. But the Cantarella here, very good. We will do it. We get Oniro, which is fantastic. So the Oniro means that we get 2 Oniros in hand next round. And here I think we want to go for... we're going to go for Glynis, just because I don't want the opponent to get... Well... Yeah, we'll go for Glynis. The Brothans I'm not going for because we can grab him later. And you will run into problems with stacking. You are just going to get to a point where you just have so many cards. Which is why we don't want to remove anything from my opponent's side. We're just going to, again, hit the point where we just have so many cards out on the board that there's nothing we can do about it. And we've damaged down the Slave Hunter. Again, he is an Assimilate engine, so he is going to get boosted by 1 here. And especially if the opponent opts not to use the damage, then we could have used Enslave against him. The opponent doesn't have anything great in the trash there, so we do run into a problem here with Glynis. She could get removed. That would be unfortunate, but it's certainly not the end of the world. We are going to just go ahead and use this Amnesty, pull over this Slave Hunter. Good patient play. Playing cards that are from my own deck is kind of mediocre to do. Obviously the Imperial Brigade and the Hunting Pack are great, but they're best when you can keep them in deck, and the ultimate play is to play your opponent's Imperial Brigade yourself, getting your own 2 Imperial Brigades out with it. That is just kind of awesome. Don't have another word for it. Now we could here too use Imperial Diviners for the Purify onto these spying units. That would remove the opponent's ability to play Hunting Pack to get their own Hunting Packs out, but I think we're okay. The Bribery coming from both. Our opponent was able to take advantage of both briberies, which is again such great cadence, great tempo. You get this, you get these units that are proccing. And then you do want to also keep track of what your opponent has in hand and make sure you are using the double play to maximum effect. Now here, this is the opponent's Menno, but it's also the opponent's Duchess Informant. Menno here is basically just going to grab Royal Decree. We have our own Menno, so I'm not really feeling the urge to grab that. Otherwise, he grabs Bribery. Imperial Diplomacy is also good, so we can use that later on if we need to. But here, Duchess Informant, I think, is the target we are looking for. And the fun way to do this is to go ahead and just steal a unit that is worth 4 points. That way the opponent has to damage him. I mean, the opponent here can use Slave Hunter and deal the damage and steal him over. We'll be able to find out if the opponent is running Devotion that way as well. So, but it does slow down some of the cadence because it is not an Assimilate proc to steal a unit. It is an Assimilate proc to create a unit. So here, this works fine for us. The opponent does get the boost, which means that the opponent is running Devotion. Again, for those of you unfamiliar, Conspiracy boosted by 2. And I guess it counted the card that was played already, which is a little bit weird. The opponent has nothing in graveyard. We have nothing in graveyard worth stealing, so there's no reason to keep Experimental Remedy. We do want to try to stay on top of that. Because of that, we're going to go ahead here and kill off a Duchess Informant, just because we will need to play something using this Experimental Remedy at some point. Now seems like as good a time as any. So again, this was not our Duchess Informant, so we get the double Assimilate procs here, working quite well for us. And we see these 3 cards. We can use Double Cross if we want to. This round, I do think winning round 1 is important. I would not say it's necessary though.
The Empire will be victorious.
Opponent here going for Coup de Grace, which is an interesting card of choice. You do need the Death Blow unless the unit is spying though. So I'm not 100% sure why you would include it in a deck like this. But this is a great way to get Assimilate value from that double play. I think we've gotten to a point where our opponent is now down to fewer and fewer cards. The other thing, we do want to use Double Cross when it is play a card from our opponent's hand. Notably, it's not technically from our deck, but I've had some problems with that in the past. We don't necessarily want to play it from our own hand. Here we are up by 10 points, which is actually pretty close, because you have to think each of these Assimilate procs gets in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now 8 points, plus 2 more from Glynis. So 10 points of play, plus whatever the opponent is actually playing. So if I did want to use the Double Cross, I would use it now to steal my opponent's Assimilate unit and play it out that way. Here, I think I'm more concerned with getting out Hunting Pack. We do have enough soldiers. We should be able to get out Imperial Brigade on our own later on. But a little bit slow tempo. And again, we're just kind of playing out all of our cards. Opponent here gets the 4-point Imperial Brigade. We get the 4-point Ducal Guard. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points as well. So the opponent will take the victory here from playing our Imperial Brigade. So what we can do is get some thinning here by playing the unit from our opponent's hand. We will close out the first game this way. And that's enough to close out the first round. Obviously, the double play was really valuable here, but our opponent will likely be forced into a tough spot next match. We're going to put back one of the Oneiromancies as well. Here the opponent gets close, but not quite there, and they waited too long to play the leader ability because we didn't have any cards in hand. So it is a great way of getting some value that way as well. And again, we do get 2 Oneiromancies. They have Doomed, so when they get played, they go banished, but we can put them back into our deck. Brothans is another card we want to go back into our deck. So this is a little bit unfortunate here. We are going to go for... We'll go for Artorias here.
The senses can be fooled easily.
Do want Ardfane Cavalry just as an Assimilate engine as well. Oneiromancy does get my opponent the exact card they want, exactly when they want it. The bribery was such a great play for the opponent last round. Now able to use leader ability to use on Neuromancy. On to Joachim. Joachim is a great way you can go about this, getting a bunch of points. It's a little bit dangerous to have a card like Joachim in this seasonal, though, because your opponent is able to grab that card and make great value out of it. But here, I think our opponent is going to run away with this round. But like I said before, never pass. Always play all of your cards. We knew that losing this next round was always a possibility. But the opponent here choosing to play all of their best cards out of their deck. The Neuromancy is gone now. Coup de Grace is gone now. The opponent here just opting to go guns blazing. Play all the cards they can play to try to find value. Bomb Heaver being just really kind of garbage this season. Only damaging an enemy opponent by 1 damage. 3 if you hold a bomb. Imperial Diplomacy does work really well for us. It is an Assimilate proc. Opponent doesn't have any spying. Assassination might be the best value of 6 points. But it's obviously not enough points to make a difference. Weird things happen when you pass with a card left. Don't do it. What did I say? Don't do it. So it may end up back in their hand, but this weird thing happens where, since this was my original hand, that's where my pass is coined off of. I don't know. It's very weird. It's hard to describe. You can't really explain it any other way. Okay, here we did kind of suffer a little bit here getting this Royal Decree and Brothans. But Brothans is more valuable. The opponent does go first. Now this is at the end of every turn, so we actually can go ahead and use that with Brothans if we want to, and that is what we're going to do.
I hate nothing more than a creaky door.
We can play the Oneiromancy to play the Oneiromancy. Which is probably a smart play since we don't know exactly what our opponent is going to use or play or do. And our target will probably be Slave Hunter. Although that is our own card, so here we actually might want to go with Experimental Remedy. The one thing I will say, you sometimes want to take away from your opponent the thing you value most. Our opponent here does not have... Oh, we take the victory. The opponent realizing that they are going to miss out on the final play of the game because they passed. Don't pass. So that, I wish we could have shown you guys exactly how that happens. But because it was my original hand, I would not be forced to pass until the last card from my original hand was gone. I still had that card because the opponent passed prematurely. So we'll jump into another game, show you how this goes here. There I might have actually wanted to use Oneiromancy to get my Diviner so that I could purify Brothans just in case my opponent had a poison in deck. I think that was going to be a little bit more value for us. But as you're seeing, double cross is the leader of choice. I will say I really want them to remove this leader, and some people might find that troubling to hear. But they promised they would get rid of all double plays where you could play 2 cards in 1 turn, and double cross very much is that. So I don't know why all of the other ones we love so much are gone, but double cross is still here. One could also argue they don't know why we have not gotten any good cards lately either. So one thing we can do here, we can use Menno to get out any of these other tactics. That can be a double play. I do think, though, you do want to get a Royal Decree out earlier than later to try to grab this Brothans. But I think we have enough mixed in here that we actually might want to go for bribery first, as that's going to get us our opponent's card, and we'll just surrender Royal Decree to our opponent. It doesn't get them any card they want. And Imperial Brigade is fantastic here if we controlled another soldier. That was a huge misplay from me. We can't all be geniuses, as I say. You obviously need to control a soldier first before you play Imperial Brigade. I clicked on that too early. So my opponent probably concerned here. We should have gone for the Ardfane Cavalry, but we are where we are. Dandelion's an interesting way to go about playing this deck. The opponent here lucky enough to get out Damien as well. Had we played a Slave Hunter, we could have set up the damage to get maximum value there. But the opponent here now just able to do what they want, when they want it, how they want it to be done. So many tough choices. I think here we're actually going to go for Artorias.
You will not regret this, sir. Rise! Trample them into the mud.
But really missing that first play kind of sucks. It is so much value to get that extra card with that extra engine value. Opponent here going for a really heavy spying based version of the Nilfgaard Assimilate with Mage Torturers, Roderick. Getting a lot of consistency here with Oneiromancy, getting their portal out. We missed our portal, our Oneiromancy, our Brothans, our Artorias, our Menno, and our Glynis. Again, you do want to hide as many of those cards as possible from the opponent. But doing what we can when we can do it. But here the opponent just going for a crazy number of plays. I think here we do value the Slave Hunter quite a bit, just to be able to set up that damage. But that Imperial Enforcer looms large with the Enslave. But next round we do go first, so we will be able to play. Being on red coin is very valuable in this seasonal game mode. I've found just being able to get the card out when you want it can be so helpful. But being able to react to your opponent's plays, I find invaluable here. The opponent here going for the poison with Cupbearer. Good choice nominally, but here we are able to go for Diviner, which we will do. I think the opponent also made a mistake here with Slave Hunter, forgetting that we were playing a card from our deck, not them from theirs. The opponent will need to do something to protect some of their engines. They did use Damien. That's how they got that double play last turn. They played a card and then used Damien to refresh that leader ability. So they are able to get that double cross twice. The bribery did not give us a Damien, so that's a bit unfortunate. And here I think we do want to try to steal one of our engines from our opponent. The Enforcer is only going to find a little bit of value from the from some of those other procs. Experimental Remedy not all that valuable right now. But here I think actually we'll steal Cupbearer. Because he's an Assimilate engine. Again, we're not Devotion. We get to steal stuff, but we can't, like, purify it. But because we've stolen him, we can go ahead and play one of our own cards and get that back again. It does kind of pair really poorly with Enforcers, though. I should have thought about that. It does give us a spying status onto our card, which makes it so the opponent gets another one of these Enforcers. Another bullet in the Enforcer, as it were. This Duchess Informant also gives that spying status. So the opponent here is softening it up, I'm guessing, to try to steal it back. Now here, this Imperial Brigade does play really well for us. I think we do want to set that up. But let's get a status set up onto the opponent first.
Perhaps a bit.
This game, we did make that big misplay early, and so I'm kind of regretting that. But we will be able to use the Diviner to purify this cavalry. Though I don't see any way... Oh, the opponent here opting for it. I don't see any way for the opponent to get out another poison anyway, so I think we're okay. This Amnesty still looms large, but there's no engine I can steal with it, so we're going to go for Diplomacy here. We're going to go for Rot Tosser for a couple of reasons. Number one, it counts as a double Assimilate play, though. As you see, the Cow Carcass counts as an additional Assimilate play, which does get us a double boost, which is really helpful. In terms of Assimilate value, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Missed out on that 7th one. Big misplay from me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for our opponent as well. So we're going to get this hand back one more time. At that point, I think I would really like to play Imperial Brigade. But I am nervous about the opponent getting out something before us. This plays for 8 points for me, or 8 points for the opponent. It actually plays for 12 points for me, plus the Assimilate procs. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So I forgot this one was created, so we actually get out both fars. And like I was saying, this is the play you want to make. You want to steal a version of your opponent's Imperial Brigade to get out your 2 Imperial Brigades. Good thinning for us, and also just generally great value in terms of tempo. Here, this playing for 12 points. Far more than either of these we're ever going to play for. But now the opponent in a tight spot where they're going to think about the value of using the leader ability. Now would kind of be a poor time since you do get your own card back, but it does count as an extra play anyway. But these cards just not of any real great value. We are just going to leave them with Experimental Remedy since it is playing for 0 value to their graveyard and 0 value to our graveyard. So we'll just go ahead and steal the Menno Kuhorn here. That does give the Imperial Enforcers 1 point of damage, but that's fine. The Experimental Remedy will boost up their side. We'll need to count this out. They're only going to be able to play that card itself, which is going to get them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 points, so they will go to 75. Here we go well beyond that, so we are going to shut this down. Their leader ability now worth nothing, as we have nothing in our hand, so we will take this pass. The opponent doing that weird thing to just take a pass straight away. Everybody gets to make choices. It is a card from their hand, so again, we are going to play till we are out of cards. There is some complexity you could do with the deck. Just don't. It's not worth it. Experimental Remedies are quite valuable here, but I am looking for a Neuromancy. Menno is really worthless for us. I don't want to give it to the opponent. Portal is perfect, grabbing both of these friends. We're going to go ahead and steal one of our opponent's cards. Neuromancy looks nice to me. Here we get our Neuromancy. And we're going to just go for... I think we actually want to go for our Artorias here. To get a second unit. But Glynis is quite nice. So let's go for Glynis.
Great victories require great sacrifice.
That'll Neuromancy playing for exceptional value for us because we're going to get it back into our hand. Experimental remedies are really great. The opponent can choose any of those bronze units to play. Duchess Informants are a great choice normally. Here, you have to know which one is premium and which one's not, etc., etc. This Duchess Informant only playing for one proc with the Ardfane Cavalry, not the Duchess Informant herself. So here you're going to see this Duchess Informant playing for great value. So we get one Assimilate proc, and then we get a second Assimilate proc from this other unit. So here we just get crazy, crazy value. And weird things are going to happen with the passing here. Because one hand has 2 more cards than the other hand. I think the opponent might actually get an extra play. I can't remember how it works, to be honest with you. It's happened to me a couple of times. But again, I believe that it's keyed to which one is your original hand, not whether or not the cards you have in hand count or not. So it is a little bit weird that way. The Slave Hunter might be really great value for the opponent. We are going to go for Experimental Remedy. Mostly just because it represents such great value for the opponent. And then here we'd want to go for one of the 4-point Assimilate cards. Doesn't really matter. I know Ducal Guards were not in my starting deck, so we're just going to go ahead and take one of those just to guarantee the point value. We are not forced to pass at the end of this one, then I'm wrong. But we may be forced to pass as soon as the opponent makes this play. I hope the opponent makes the pass. Then we're forced to pass because we lose the card. We take the win. Like I said, don't ever pass. Weird things happen. So it's as soon as your hand goes to 0 cards, which happens when we lose the card. So yeah, weird things. Weird things. Don't pass. It's just strange. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for coming on this journey with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy this deck. I know Seasonal's not for everyone, but Nilfgaard is for no one on ladder. I don't care who you are. There are better decks out there for all of the other factions. Nilfgaard has the lowest win rate. I know you might be just really feeling a deep love for Nilfgaard. Join us in our Nilfgaard abstinence to really pressure the devs into giving that faction some love. They are not performing well. They need to do better. I think they need more engines themselves. That way there's stuff that other people can nuke on Nilfgaard. That way Nilfgaard can feel some pain. That way it's not just such like the greatest red coin abuse deck. I think if they did that, it's going to make the deck more competitive. It'll make it so people hate it just a little bit less because you can ruin its progress. And I think it'll be more fun for everyone that way. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you like this video, please subscribe. Please leave a like. If you didn't like it, hit that dislike. Let me know why. Let me know how I can improve my content. And until next time, good luck on the path. Get out there. Keep on Gwenting.